Industry, engineering, explained. This is where machines finally make sense. Engineering knowledge, simplified. Understand how the entire world is built. Simple again, engineering knowledge, simplified.
Look at this battery pack. It's the heart of a modern electric vehicle. It represents the future of transportation, energy, and geopolitics. To build this single unit efficiently, you need lithium refined in one country, cobalt mined in another. For the last 30 years, the answer to where does this all come together was simple. China. They became the world's factory. But the script flipped. Trade wars and a pandemic woke everyone up. Relying on a strategic rival seemed like a terrible idea. Now America is fighting back with trillions of dollars. This is the biggest economic story of our lifetime. To understand this fight, you have to respect the reigning champion. People still think China's advantage is just cheap labor. That's 2005 thinking. China's true superpower is something called supply chain clustering and massive, unprecedented scale. Vietnam and India are cheaper now, but they don't have the ecosystem. In Shenzhen, you walk down the street and find a district just for screws. You have a prototype in 3 hours. That is the ecosystem. China spent trillions on high-speed rail and automated ports. This created a manufacturing machine that can pivot unbelievably fast. Today, China accounts for roughly 30% of global manufacturing output. That's more than the US, Japan, and Germany combined. They dominate critical sectors, 50% of shipbuilding, 50% of steel, and over 80% of solar panels. That is a terrifying amount of leverage. For decades, American policy was defined by efficiency. Wall Street rewarded companies that offshored everything. We were told we would be a knowledge economy. The result was the hollowing out of America's industrial base. We lost the know-how, the makers, and the ability to build complex things at scale. But the pendulum is swinging back. Welcome to the era of American industrial policy. The government is throwing hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies to bribe companies to build factories in America. And guess what? It's starting to work. We are seeing a factory construction boom in the US that we haven't seen since World War II. America has distinct advantages. Thanks to the shale revolution, industrial energy costs in the US are significantly lower than in Europe or much of Asia. Then there's innovation. China is great at scaling from 1 to a billion, but America is still better at going from 0 to 1. The most complex designs still happen here. To understand who is winning, we have to look at specific battlegrounds. Semiconductors versus atoms. They tell two very different stories. First, semiconductors. If oil was the resource of the 20th century, silicon is the key to the 21st. Right now, the US has a chokehold on China. The US dominates design, NVIDIA, Apple, Qualcomm, but they are blocked by a massive hurdle, the ASML machines that make the chips. Under US pressure, ASML is banned from selling their best machines to China. Without them, China is locked out of the cutting edge. But in the green transition, batteries, solar, wind, the map flips. China doesn't just mine the materials, they control the processing. If you want to build an EV in Detroit today, your supply chain runs through China. They refine the dirty rocks into usable chemicals. The scorecard reads, America controls the highest-end brains, chips, but China controls the muscle, materials, and infrastructure. If you only look at the headlines, it looks like two juggernauts clashing. But when you look closer, you see two systems under immense strain. Both models face existential threats. China's biggest problem is demographic. The world's factory is running out of workers. Their population is aging rapidly and wages have risen. The era of dirt-cheap Chinese labor is over. Their model is built on massive debt and a real estate bubble that is currently deflating. America's problem is different. We are writing checks for factories that we might not be able to staff. We have a massive shortage of skilled tradespeople. Welders, machinists, industrial electricians. For decades, we stigmatized vocational training. Now the US is trying to rush training programs. You can build $1 billion fab, but without technicians to run it, it's just an expensive, empty building. US construction costs are astronomical, and environmental regulations, while necessary, slow things down significantly. So back to our original question, American versus Chinese manufacturing, who really wins? If winning means returning to the 1990s where America made everything, America loses. That world is gone. If winning means China displaces the US as the global hegemon, China is likely to lose, boxed in by its own internal crises. The real answer is that the definition of winning has changed. We are moving to a new era. We are moving from an era defined by just-in-time efficiency to an era of just-in-case resilience. The winner isn't the country that makes the most stuff. The winner is the country that is least vulnerable to blackmail. The US wins by de-risking, moving critical supply chains out of China to friendly nations like Mexico, Vietnam, and back home. It's expensive, it will cause inflation, but it buys national security. China wins by moving up the value chain, trying to invent the future before their access to tech is choked off. This technology is no longer just a product, it's a poker chip in the biggest game on Earth. The next decade isn't about total victory. It's about managing a messy, expensive divorce between the two biggest economies on Earth. And the reality is, until the dust settles, the only guaranteed outcome is that everything is going to get a little bit more expensive. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the manufacturing wars.